Welcome to the United Palace of Spiritual Arts. This is Spiritual Artistry in Action, a weekly celebration of the intersection of arts, spirituality, culture, and entertainment. Hi, I'm Reverend Heather Shea, Spiritual Director and CEO. In today's Spiritual Artistry in Action service, we're going to revisit a conversation with scholar, author, philosopher, and our board chair here at the United Palace of Spiritual Arts, Dr. Jean Houston, when she discussed the spirituality of the classic film 2001, A Space Odyssey, with actor Kier Dullea, known for his role as astronaut David Bowman in that epic movie. Spiritual artistry explores the intersection of art, spirituality, culture, and entertainment. With Spiritual Artistry in Action, we hope to reawaken your creativity. It is through our creative expression that we have a personal experience with the divine. Here's Dr. Jean Houston and Kier Dullea and Spiritual Artistry in Action. Please enjoy.
So, Kier.
Yes.
What really goes on with this movie?
What really goes on in this film? What is the ultimate meaning?
What is the ultimate meaning?
Yeah, well, people connected with this film are asked that question a lot. And recently, within the last year, I got a hold of an interview which is very rare for Stanley Kubrick. He didn't do many. It was an interview in which he was asked that question: what is the ultimate meaning of 2001? And he said, all right, how do you define in words Beethoven's Fifth Symphony? You can't, because every human being that listens to that beautiful music brings their own persona, their own background to it, and it's infused through their souls in a sense. So each individual has their own particular response. Am I speaking too loud? Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. I think you can hear me. It sounds very loud. So a perfect example of that is the Blue Danube. Now, if you've never seen 2001, what do you think of when you hear that music? What would those people think of when they hear that music? Vienna? A river? But if they have seen the film, perhaps they think of space. Which of those two reactions is the correct one? There is no correct one, because Stanley said that 2001: A Space Odyssey is a visual symphony. It's like the Mona Lisa smile. We'll never know. We don't have the painter to ask what his intention was. We can only bring a particular, and that's what I think one of the reasons that 2001 has become the iconic classic that it has. It's almost timeless and is a very spiritual experience. You know, I was at the original premieres in a number of places. The first one was Washington, D.C., and the next night was New York, and then Los Angeles. And in New York, I remember encountering a nun who said that this was the 2001 for her was one of the most religious experiences she'd ever had.
Did you yourself, in the making of the picture or in the reflection of the picture, have a spiritual experience?
Well, it's interesting. Every time I see the film, I'm moved. I mean, you'd think I've seen this film a lot.
I would think so.
But I don't take, there's a lot of things in this film, it's almost as if I'm experiencing them for the first time.
Really?
Now, the section of the film that gets me the most, maybe because I was not involved in it at all, so when I saw the film, it was like out of the blue for me, was the Dawn of Man sequence.
Yes.
And it had two of my favorite moments in the whole film. Number one is when Moonwatcher, the leading ape, just seems to be fiddling aimlessly with some bones. Mm-hmm. And then your music backs it up. He kind of hesitates because he's had his hand on the monolith by this time and has beat the other tribe of ape men away. And he stops. And if you remember, you know how when a dog sees something curious and the dog will go, well, he does that. If you watch where he goes, and you just see the penny drop. It's the missing link moment in the history of pre-man going into manhood. And suddenly he sort of fiddles in a different kind of way, and then it triumphantly discovers the first weapon, and then we see him chase, he and his cohorts chase the other group away.
So what we are hearing about is mythic frames and shots within a mythic film, playing again in a mythic time. I mean, myth is something that never was but is always happening. It's like the Odyssey. It's the coded DNA of the human psyche.
I agree. I think at the highest level of, not that every performance I ever give is the kind of I think it's brilliant, but when I feel totally fulfilled playing a role, it's a very spiritual experience, always.
Well, it's a very spiritual experience having seen you in that splendid role, having continued to observe you in theater, live theater, and seeing you in person for the first time. I'm honored. Thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
Thanks for joining this Spiritual Artistry in Action service. Today, we revisited a conversation with United Palace of Spiritual Arts Board Chair Gene Houston and actor Kier Dullea of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Kier offered a wonderful observation that understanding and appreciating spiritual artistry isn't simply about an artistic expression, but that it is our own persona and our own background. Our experience of art is intertwined with the experience of our soul. This is all rooted in the divine idea that we are all sacred, that this moment is sacred, and that what we are experiencing is sacred. Every experience that we have can be an experience of one of the most religious experiences of our lives when we approach life with the idea that we are all spiritual artists, both created and creating at this specific moment in a universe that is filled with possibilities and with potential. In whatever way is comfortable for you, I invite you to join me now in prayer. Eternal presence of life, with hearts filled with joy and praise, we call out to you. Bring each moment back to the truth that now is sacred time. Allow us to see and to know that all of creation is sacred. We open our hearts to the truth that we are sacred. You are the creative self now expressing as us. As spiritual artists, we delight in creation and in creating. And together we say Amen, Ashe, Aho, and so it is. I'm Reverend Todd Humphrey. This was Spiritual Artistry in Action, a weekly 10-minute or less service of the United Palace of Spiritual Arts. Please support this ministry by visiting us at upspiritualarts.org and clicking on the red donate button, and by sharing this and our other services on your social media accounts. Thank you again, and we'll see you next week.